Hey everyone, thanks for listening. This is a chronology pretty much and where I'm at right now of my cancer journey. As I said before, it's 21 years long. This week I have been to the hospital 3 times. I had a meeting with my surgeon post surgery and to look at an area on my nephrostomy tube. I had a PET scan and then I met with my nephrologist, my kidney doctor. So mostly the meetings were good. I haven't heard back yet of the results of my PET scan, so I'm waiting to hear back from my medical team on that. And so where I left off in my story was just this point at which I was set up with Memorial Sloan Kettering with one of the top guys down there for high-grade urothelial bladder cancer, and he had set up a time for me to have another scraping that he would do on an outpatient basis. So he did that. He did a scraping, and instead of spending a couple nights in the hospital, he had gone in. I was home that same day, and so then it would take it takes a week usually to get pathology back. Sometimes when they rush it, it can be quicker. I trust Sloan's pathology. I think they do an excellent job. They usually send it out to 3 places, have them look at the cells that they're dealing with, and it came back. He called us down for a meeting a week after that, and it had come back that it in fact was high-grade urothelial cancer. And so he presented to me what he was going to have to do, because the tumor, there was like 5 tumors, and it was traveling quickly. But he presented to me that he would have to actually perform a radical cystectomy, prostatectomy, which is a removal of the bladder itself, and turns out one of the ureters section of that, and also my prostate. And then they create a new system. I opted for a neobladder back then. I was 43. I wanted to feel more normal. Neobladder is where they put the reservoir inside your body rather than an ostomy bag outside collecting the urine. And so that was kind of, that was not brand new of a surgery, and it had been tested. But I did speak with men who had it done, and there's so many issues with having a new setup like that. In the way that you urinate is completely different. The muscles are different, and how you do it's different. And also having your prostate removed, especially for a guy with incontinence and sexual struggles. So there was a lot of moving parts. And I remember being in that meeting, and he described what he was going to do, and I was like, just distraught. I was like, this sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. And he basically said to me, if I don't do this, and we don't know where your cancer is right now, but if cells have escaped the bladder, you're going to live about 6 months, because this is a deadly cancer that when it becomes metastatic, it goes to the brain and liver and lungs. And so, sometimes doctors say things and you're like, oh, like, how am I supposed to process that? And it was a husband-wife team. So his wife came in and she said, did my husband tell you? And I said, yeah. She said, well, let me tell you about a woman, because how a woman can describe it, because he leaves out the details. And she proceeded to spend like 45 minutes to an hour explaining to me what they were going to do. And I'm not sure which one I liked better, not knowing, but she did explain it to me, and that they gave me a bunch of people to call, other men who had it done, to check on, because it would be a truly life-changing surgery. If any of you have had it, you know what that means. And I lived so long with this neobladder setup, and I had it revised twice more. 2 big major surgeries to have it all redone because of cancer. And eventually, like 21 years later, if someone asked me, what would you do? And, at the time, I chose to get the neobladder, but in retrospect, I would have gone with a colostomy bag, because it wreaked havoc with my kidney function. I had to catheterize myself 6 times a day for years. Eventually, the whole system, my urinary system, just sort of collapsed on itself. They weren't used to young men living this long with this cancer, and hence that's why I right now have a nephrostomy. It's a tube that comes out of my only marginally functioning kidney and empties into a bag. So I have to have a bag strapped to my leg at all times and a night bag, and then I have to get it changed every 3 months for the rest of my life. But I didn't know that then. I was facing major surgery. What goes through your mind and your soul, your spirit, when you are facing a life-threatening situation? And it was hard. I just remember, I was a Christian, a Christ follower, and I was like, well, Lord, I don't understand this. But I wasn't ready yet to be completely honest with God. That came later, where I really expressed my dissatisfaction with what was going on. That came later on when it became metastatic. I didn't know that then. But I had some verses that I liked in the scriptures. Galatians 2:20, for I've been crucified with Christ, and it was this concept of laying my life on the line for him, and people were speaking into my life, family members, church members, but it was just like, you all know who have been in a cancer journey, you just feel like it's surreal, it's happening to somebody else, like it's a movie. So I was coming to terms. I was still working through the grief cycle. I wasn't in denial, but I wasn't very far down the grief cycle with bargaining, anger, sadness, all that stuff. I was really struggling. I was just sort of starting that. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'll get back to you. I'm just doing these every day because it's helpful to me. I enjoy talking about it. Thanks.